Testing, testing, testing. Hello, sweet friends. Welcome. Let me know if the audio is working or if the video is lagging or not in the comments. Still trying to figure some stuff out, but today is reading day, Sunday. I'm going to try to do this every Sunday night, probably at around 7 p.m. I'm going to be reading The Completion Process. Chapter 2, I believe. 2, right? Yeah. Chapter 2. Can I just tell you a little bit about how crazy my day was first before we get into this? Have you ever been so stupid that you left your phone on top of your car and then you got into your car and then you drove off? Completely unaware of the fact that your portable was on top of your car and you were driving at like 50 miles an hour. No? Just me? Okay. Yeah, that happened to me today. I stayed at a friend's house. I had a sleepover and I had like bags and stuff that I had to bring into my car. So, of course, I put my phone on top of my car. Completely forgot that it was there. Got in my car and drove my friend to Walgreens, and then I noticed that like all of a sudden my car dropped my Bluetooth, and I was like, what the heck? Because my Bluetooth is connected to my phone through my car, right? All of a sudden it just disconnected, and I was like, that's weird. Maybe my phone is back at my friend's house because I just left from there, so I just automatically assumed that my phone was safe at my friend's house. I just forgot to take it with me. No! My phone was on top of my car that entire time, and when I went into the drive-thru of the Walgreens and I hit a speed bump, my phone fell off my car. And so for 3 hours I didn't have my phone. And some very kind person ended up finding my phone in the parking lot and reported it to the Safeway employees at the customer service area. And I managed to get my phone back. With all of my information, I had my debit card in there. I have like my license and everything with my phone, so it was a big deal. And no damage at all, so. Have you ever done anything that stupid? Probably not. Alright, I'm gonna log into my Twitch on my phone and then we can get started. That was just a little story time. Sorry. That just happened to me, so I was just like, oh my god. It's just one of those crazy things. Also, look at how cute my leggings are. Aren't they cute? Okay. I'm gonna shut up now. Let us begin. This is The Completion Process by Miss Teal Swan. We're going to be venturing into chapter 2. I'm really excited about this. The more and more that I delve into this book, the more I just fucking fall in love, so yeah. It's a little glitchy, but the audio is good. Alright, sorry if the video is a little bleh. You don't need to look at me though, just close your eyes and listen. Okay. Alright. Chapter 2. Digging up what was buried. Perhaps you have heard this before. In order to reach a state of optimal health, you must address your issues with the body, mind, and soul. These 3 elements of a person have long been considered the pillars of a complete life. But what if I told you that this isn't quite right? When we think of the soul, we often imagine an ethereal and an intangible energy, because feelings and emotions are also ethereal and intangible, and we don't quite understand them either. We sometimes call our emotions our quote-unquote soul. This is why advice about how to feed and heal your soul usually are designed to help you feel better emotionally. Makes sense. I did force shutdown on some things. I could do it again on some things see if something came up. Yep, don't really have anything else. Alright. The emotional wake-up call. I suggest another view. In truth, our souls are innately healthy and, therefore, can't be in an unhealthy state. When I speak about the soul, I mean that your soul is your non-physical, eternal essence. Your soul is energy. It creates feelings, and it also creates our minds and bodies. All three elements of a person are in fact composed of the soul. Your body is your own soul projecting itself physically. Your mind is your soul projecting itself mentally. Feelings are how the soul consciously perceives and communicates. So cool, right? Following this premise, the three pillars of health are body, mind, and emotion. With emotion as the language of the soul, if you choose to see it this way, then the key to quote-unquote soul health is really your quote-unquote emotional health. Hi guys! Thank you for being in here with me, reading with me. I appreciate you all. When we use the word soul, we are referring to the core aspect of a person's being. In the English language, the soul and the heart are interchangeable. This is why someone who is speaking from the core of their being might say, I know in my heart that, fill the blank. What this means is that deep down we know that the very heart of our experience in life isn't mental or physical, it's our feelings and emotions. This makes perfect sense because babies and children experience the world almost entirely through their felt sense perceptions. Feeling and emotions are not only the heart of our lives here on earth, but they are also form the heart of our relationships. Because feeling and emotions are the heart of relationships, they are also typically the most damaged. Raising children who are healthy and whole. You ever heard of that? Regardless of how far we have progressed as a society, the goal of parenting is still usually to have a compliant and obedient child. The goal is to raise a child who is good. Our justice system takes the exact same approach with regards to criminal behavior. So true. We are concerned with correcting these perceived misbehaviors and creating good citizens while being unconcerned with the feelings that motivate this misbehavior. The bottom line here is that good parenting involves emotion and good relationships involve emotion. Not realizing this, most parents today make one or more crucial mistakes. First, they disapprove of their children's emotions. Second, they dismiss their children's Second, they dismiss their children's emotions. It says that twice. They disapprove of their children's emotions. They dismiss their children's emotions. And third, they offer no practical guidance to the child. For example, this hits close to home. Imagine that young Joey doesn't want to go to school and begins to cry when his parents try to drop him off. The disapproving parents might scold Joey for his refusal to just cooperate, or resort to calling him a brat, or punish him with a timeout or with a spanking. The dismissive parent might brush off Joey's emotions entirely by saying, "That's silly. There's no reason to be sad about going to school. Now turn that frown upside down, bitch." The dismissive parent might even distract Joey from his own emotions by giving him a cookie or pointing at the horse in the field on their way to school. Some parents are empathetic, but they offer no guidance. The empathetic parents may tell Joey that it's okay to feel sad and be scared, but that same parent wouldn't continue to help him decide what to actually do with his uncomfortable feelings. More than that, this parent would instead leave him with the belief and feeling that his emotions are an all-consuming force that he is completely powerless to do anything about. Children who are raised in unhealthy emotional environments, just about everybody, aren't able to soothe themselves. Very often, they fail to emotionally connect with their own family. If they don't develop intimacy at home, then they feel desperately isolated and alone, which may also lead to health problems. These children grow up into adults who aren't even capable of managing their emotions, and they struggle to make relationships work. They develop powerlessness, codependent relationships, and they may have deep need for other people. They might simultaneously suffer with an extreme fear of intimacy. Me? No. In my opinion, the number one cause of sociopathic and psychopathic behavior in adults is the result of unhealthy emotional environments within childhood. Keep in mind that this is more difficult to recognize emotional dysfunction than it is to recognize overt physical abuse. Many of the serial killers and school shooters who came from reportedly healthy homes didn't, in fact, come from healthy homes at all. They may have come from a physically healthy home where they were fed, clothed, and given many advantages, but underneath the lovely-looking exterior was an extreme emotional dysfunction so damaging that it kept this child from being able to feel connected to other people. Emotional dismissal and emotional disapproval are forms of emotional abuse. When a parent disapproves of their child's emotions or dismisses it, this child begins to accept the parent's estimation of the event and learns to doubt his or her own judgment. As a result, the child loses their self-confidence. With emotional dysfunction rules the relationship, the child learns that it's wrong to feel the way that they feel. And here's the crux of the matter. The child believes that if it's wrong to feel the way they feel, but they feel that way anyway, they become convinced that there is something that must be wrong with them. Ugh, my heart, it's so true. Hello, friends. Hey, Paul. How are you? Hi, guys. How many people are in here? We got freaking 9 people in here. Hello, friends. Thank you for being in here with me. I appreciate your time and energy. We're reading Teal Swan's book, The Completion Process. And we're talking about digging up what was buried. long-term damage. It's not the uncomfortable feelings themselves that hurt. It's our resistance to the uncomfortable feelings that cause us pain. Psychiatric offices are full of people who were raised to emotionally dysfunctional homes. These people grow up to believe that there's something wrong with them because they shouldn't feel how they feel. In actuality, they should feel exactly how they feel. They have perfect sound reason to feel how they feel, and the idea that something is quote-unquote wrong with them is a fallacy that is a byproduct of having their emotions continuously invalidated over and over and over again. Having your emotions constantly invalidated is a key cause for anxiety. Anxiety disorders are so often the result of extreme self-doubt and self-distrust. Absolutely, 100%. Self-distrust, or being afraid of yourself, is another result of being led to believe that you should not feel how you feel. When you fear yourself, you have constant anxiety. It's like living with an enemy inside your own skin. Side note, from personal experience, that is literally like the perfect description of it, because I struggled growing up as a child. I had extreme fear of like physically like getting sick and like vomiting. Bad word. Emetophobia trigger. And that's really what it feels like. It feels like there's this part inside of you that you just cannot escape ever. So you're always kind of on the edge and always feeling so uneasy, and you can't get away from it because it's literally your own physical body. No more side note. Okay. In my estimation, the future will see. Oh my God, I love this. Okay, I'm gonna really soak this part in. In my estimation, the future will see an evolution in psychiatrics and psychology that many mental disorders that we think are causing symptoms will actually be seen as the symptoms themselves. Today's mental illness will be understood as adaptations that were caused by experiences that a person went through, usually early in life. Meaning most things that people describe as, if you have anorexia nervosa, or if you have bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, all of these things that are usually caused, people would describe as an actual diagnosis, they're actually saying that that's a symptom or a developed behavior that we have accumulated to keep us safe in childhood because something inside of us was not being taken care of and a certain need was not being met. So we had to develop this behavior to feel more safe. Even if from the outside it looks like we're like harming ourselves, starving ourselves or going crazy, in a certain sense we feel safer because we developed this certain behavior, and it's really just a symptom. It's not a diagnosis. It's just a little tiny surface symptom of a much greater core issue. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm passionate about this because it's so personal. Anyway, long story short, if one parent doesn't teach us how to deal with our own emotions, we are doomed to have painful friendships, unfulfilled romantic relationships, because we do not know how to emotionally relate to one another. We fail to develop true intimacy, and we tend to dismiss each other's emotions because that is what was modeled to us. We disapprove of each other's feelings, telling other people how they should and shouldn't feel. Where did I go? Okay. We have no patience for the emotional needs of others because we view emotions and feelings as weaknesses. We call people who display emotions overly sensitive. As a result of this, our adult relationships are emotionally unhealthy. There are many different ways that our adult relationships are shaped by childhood, emotional neglect that turn out to be emotionally dysfunctional. For example, think about a woman who goes to lunch with her friend. She's disappointed because she didn't get a promotion at work the way that she thought she would. But her friend tells her that she's just being negative. Her friend says that she needs to look on the bright side because she's just creating more disappointment by being so negative. And what about a husband who gets home late from work to find his wife crying the minute he walks through the door? The husband sees her crying and immediately says, "You always overreact. I was only half an hour late, woman." I added the woman. "Maybe you're just menopausal. You need professional help." And then he withdraws to his den to watch television with a beer, I'm assuming. Consider a man who is facing divorce. He tells his friend what's going on, and they convince him to join them for an evening out. When he shows up, none of them acknowledge that he's going through a difficult time with his relationship. Instead, they encourage him not to even think about it and to have another drink, to watch the sports game and look at the pretty girls at the bar. Emotions and intimacy. Regardless of whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, emotions and feelings are the heart of every healthy and meaningful relationship. Without a healthy emotional life, the relationship is not a relationship. It's a social arrangement where no intimacy or connection even exists. It's important to understand that intimacy is not about sex. Sex may be a byproduct of intimacy, but it is not intimacy in and of itself. Intimacy is about knowing yourself and being known by others who you really are in all aspects of your life. In the bringing forth of the truth about who you are and the being received, while at the same time the other person brings forth the true of who they are, and that is being received. Intimacy is meeting at that heart center where empathy and understanding occur. Ooh, my neck. I wonder if you could hear that. Let me see what you guys say real quick. Awesome. Thank you guys for being in here and chatting it up. I appreciate your guys' company and time here with me. Alright. Well, the bottom line is emotions matter. We must see the importance and value in each other's feelings. We must show respect for each other's emotions. We must listen for the feelings behind the words. We must open ourselves into being understood and open ourselves to understanding. Furthermore, this level of understanding should always precede advice. If you tell someone how they should and shouldn't feel, all you're doing is teaching her to distrust themselves. You are teaching them that there is something wrong with them. Improving your relationship with yourself. Now we come to one of the most important parts of emotional health. You are in a relationship with yourself, which means that your own emotions must matter to you. It's very important that you acknowledge and validate your own emotions and not dismiss them or disprove of them the way you might have been taught or shown to do as a child. To do this, I recommend that you follow the 6 steps outlined below and apply them to your relationship with yourself. This will help you deal with any negative emotion or inner conflicts that might arise. Number 1, become aware of your emotions. Pay attention to how they manifest within your body and what sensations accompany them. Number 2, care about your emotions by seeing them as valid and important. We tend to treat our emotions like it's an abstract nuisance. To work with emotions, we have to recognize that there is a very good reason for them. They present and are designed to serve us, not hinder us. Number 3, listen empathetically to your own emotions and try to understand why it is the way you feel. The way you feel. Allow yourself to feel safe and be vulnerable without the fear of self-judgment. Seek to truly understand your emotions and feelings. Number 4, acknowledge and validate your own feelings. If this helps, try to label each emotion that you feel. It's valid to feel the way that you feel, so avoid self-critical statements such as, I feel so useless. Validate yourself by saying, I can totally see how what happened could make me feel useless, and it's okay to feel that way. Number 5, allow yourself to feel how you feel and experience the emotion fully before moving towards any other kind of improvement. Give yourself permission to say what you are ready to improve and the way that you feel. Don't impose a timeline on yourself. You must practice unconditional, focused presence and continue to feel unconditional love for yourself until you are ready to shift into a new emotion. Number 6, after and only after are you able to validate, acknowledge, and fully feel your emotions should you strategize a way to manage your reactions. Think of new ways that you might look at a situation to improve how you're feeling. Give yourself the kindest and best advice you can, and if the time still isn't right to shift the emotion, do not push it. Your own shift in emotion will come when it's ready to come. How to deal with the negative emotions of others. The way we deal with negative emotions in others dictates how healthy or unhealthy our relationships are. Before we progress into the completion process, we must learn the correct way to approach negative emotion in our relationships. You can use the same 6 concrete steps above in order to develop an emotional connection with another person and enhance your intimacy. This works with children as well as adults. These steps are solid gold in a relationship when facing any kind of negative feedback or conflict. Here are the steps to master. 1, become aware of the other person's emotions and watch how their body language changes. We have a tendency to live in our own little bubbles. We need to become more attuned in order to connect with others around us so that when they have an emotional reaction, we pick it up empathetically. Care about this is number 2. Oh my gosh. I just licked my mic. Care about the other person's emotions by seeing them as valid and important, the same way that you would with your own emotions. Number 3, listen empathetically to the other person's emotions in an attempt to understand the way they feel. This allows them to feel safe enough to be vulnerable without the fear of judgment. Seek to understand instead of agreeing. Number 4, acknowledge and validate their feelings. This may include helping them to find words to label their emotions. To acknowledge and validate a person's feelings, we don't need to validate that the thoughts they are having are correct. We simply need to let them know that it's valid to feel the way that they feel. For example, if a friend says, "I feel useless," we don't validate them by saying, "You're right, you are useless." Instead, we could validate them by saying, "I can totally see how that would make you feel useless. I would feel the exact same way if I were you." It's crazy how much of a difference that makes, because when someone says something that's really, detrimental about themselves, and they truly, truly believe it in the core in that moment, even though it's like so opposing from the actual truth, when they really do feel that way, having somebody else just say the exact opposite thing of like, "You're not, you're just not," and they try to back it up with all this kind of evidence of why you're not. In that moment when they're feeling that, that's just kind of ramming two semi trucks into each other. It's like these two conflicting perspectives, and it's a little bit more painful. So when they just sit there and they're like, "I can see how you feel this way," and it's it validates that, and that's what that is. It's a feeling of being able to just kind of relax in a sense and realize that it's okay to feel kind of shitty, because it's normal. If you feel shitty, then you're supposed to feel shitty. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, tangent. Number 5, allow the person to feel how they feel and to experience their emotions fully before moving towards any kind of improvement in feeling. We need to give them permission to dictate when they are ready to move forward towards improvement. We shouldn't impose on them their own idea of what they should be ready for and when they should be ready to feel differently. This is the step where we practice unconditional, focused presence and unconditional love. We're there to support them without trying to quote-unquote fix them. Don't be offended if they don't accept your support at this time. There's a benevolent power inherent in just giving the offering. By making an offer, you are offering love in and of itself, regardless of what someone does or does not do with it. Number 6, after, and only after, their feelings have been validated, acknowledged, and fully experienced and felt, can you help the other person find a way to manage the reactions that they have to their own emotions? This is the step where you can suggest advice or maybe new ways of looking at a situation that may actually improve the way that they feel. This is when advice can be offered. Isn't that funny? I feel like everyone's always been in that situation where they're definitely not in the mental space to be receiving, new perspectives or ways of thinking about something, and because they're already fucking overwhelmed. They're already I just feel overwhelmed, and nothing that you say to me in this moment right now is going to reach me because of how I currently feel about the situation, about myself. And so if we go through all of those steps of validating them and acknowledging them and allowing them to fucking calm down, giving them time to breathe and relax and settle their mind so that they can actually kind of bring in new ways of thinking. Usually that's not what people do. They just try to like penetrate. Why didn't you take my advice? I gave you such solid advice and you just went out and it's just so funny when you get mad, you give people advice and you're like, they didn't take it. It's because they didn't want it. Anyway, oh my god, I keep doing this. Okay. Sorry. What is all the drama about? Drama originally meant to act. This is why the word debuted in the world of performance and art and theatre. As it relates to your emotional life, drama is a state, situation, or series of events involving intense conflict. Put these two things together and you have the definition of a person who is dramatic. A person who acts as if they are always in a state of intense conflict. Their perception is that a person who is dramatic or who is a drama queen or king is either overreacting or is acting for the sake of attention, much like a performer on stage. You know the type of person I mean. Where did I go? I keep looking back at you. Okay, someone who acts as if things are much worse than you think they actually are. Because of this, there's a stigma associated with drama. We often hear people say, I'm done with all the drama, or he's addicted to drama, or she's just a drama queen. I don't subscribe to this thinking at all, and I like to get this out right here and now. When it applies to the human emotional experience, there is no such thing as drama. When you make a judgment that someone is creating drama or is just being dramatic, you minimize and shame them for their feelings. It can be an easy thing to do, I know. I can assure you that these feelings for them are actually very, very real. In truth, nobody overreacts. People react exactly in accordance with the reality that they themselves alone are experiencing. However, you should also realize that our perception and reality are not the same. For example, let's pretend that you are married. Just kidding. And that you tend to forget to wear your wedding ring. Let's say you left it on the counter by the sink during your shower and you forgot to put it back on. Your spouse gets really upset about it and spends the next 20 minutes both crying over the matter and yelling at you over it. What do? You may look at your spouse and think, this person's really dramatic. After all, you still love your spouse, and it's just a ring, right? All you did was forget to put it back on. Your perspective is that your loved one is either acting out of the sake of attention or is simply overreacting. But let's jump into your spouse's perspective for a minute. What if your spouse is very attached to wedding rings as a visual symbol of love? When you forget your wedding ring, your partner's reality is, my spouse has forgotten me or may not love me anymore. Then consider that this thinking is compounded with a negative memory from the past. Let's say your spouse was married once before. One day, her partner came home to a house empty except for a wedding band sitting on the countertop, left by the spouse as a symbol that it was all over. That's why your spouse associates a wedding ring left on the counter with being abandoned. I'm going to interject a little bit. So I think I've done this many, many times. I've probably invalidated a lot of people with their emotional upsets. My main thing when I think about that is just be like, okay, then let's just not have wedding rings altogether. We don't need that visual symbol. But that would be extremely invalidating to say that, because obviously this person associates that. They want the ring. They want it to be on at all times because it's that important to them. So it's funny to just notice in yourself how you think, oh, that'll fix the situation, when fuck no, it won't. Okay. Now you can see that the only reason they seem dramatic to you is because you do not recognize that in this moment you are living in completely separate realities. You're living in a reality where you forgot to put on a piece of jewelry because you took a shower. They're living in a reality where you may not even love them anymore, and you're going to leave them. Does that reaction seem so overly dramatic? It might. It might. If you have such completely opposing beliefs about a certain thing, it's completely understandable how you would kind of be like, And that's why sometimes you just gotta be like, I may not completely, know exactly what you feel like, but I can understand to a certain degree, right? Because you don't know exactly what they went through. You're most likely to react the same exact way if you thought that you were unloved and that your spouse was about to leave you. Whose perception is the truth, though? When we think someone is being dramatic, we often tell that person to be reasonable or to get a reality check. But asking people to be reasonable or look at reality is asking them to conform their perspective to your perspective. Offering them your perspective will sometimes help them feel better, but that doesn't mean that your perspective or your grasp on reality is correct. When it comes to perspective, truth is subjective. Lovely. If you think someone is acting as a situation is worse than you think it really is, it probably means that the situation is worse than one you are imagining. Another way of saying this is that the meaning you have assigned to this whole situation is more painful than the meaning you have assigned to the situation. The meaning that they assigned to the situation is more painful than how you've assigned it. I think I messed that sentence up. My bad. So now, you can see how that we all act in a perfect accordance with the reality that we perceive. We are all acting from our own truths. Once you realize and accept this, you will no longer feel the same level of resistance that you may have felt in the past. You can stop minimizing and invalidating other people's feelings and stop shaming them for feeling the way that they do. It won't seem as if they're overreacting, and you'll find that you won't take their behavior so personally. People who say, I don't want any more drama in my life, usually mean that they're sick of dramatic people in their lives, or they're sick of interpersonal conflict within their life. But drama isn't about the people around you. It's actually about you. I know that if I experience conflict with others, I have conflict within myself. I am at war with myself. It's the same for everyone. If you are surrounded by drama, you can't easily cut all the drama out of your life because you are, in fact, the one attracting the drama. What happens then if you do manage to cut certain dramatic people out of your life? Different dramatic people will find you and fill in the place left by the others. It will keep happening and happening until you realize why it is that you are attracting this type of conflict within your life. If you've created a cycle of drama by attracting a suppressed aspect of yourself, an aspect that you are trying to avoid. If you're a person who hates drama, then you are probably also someone who frequently invalidates other people's feelings by telling them that they are the ones being dramatic. That's because you have learned over the course of your life to invalidate your own feelings. And you impose this expectation on the people who surround you. Even though you wish you didn't feel the way you do, it's time to admit your feelings and stop being ashamed. Whenever you feel resistant to drama, remind yourself that nobody ever overreacts, including yourself. You always act in perfect accordance with the reality that you are currently perceiving. You perceive a certain reality as the result of previous experiences that you may not even cognitively remember. So, you might be wondering, how can I deal with things that I don't even remember? Well, look at that. We will look at that in the next chapters with an in-depth discussion about how the subconscious memories and triggers can sabotage your life and what you can do about them. In particular, I will introduce two concepts that I personally find very powerful: inner child work and the human shadow. And that, my friends, is chapter 2, which was digging up what was buried. Chapter 2. That's it, my friends. Cool. Let me know what you thought about that. How many people we got here? We got 8 people. Thank you guys all for being in here. I know there's only 8 people in here, but this is probably the most amount of people that I've had in my life consistently on Twitch, so I appreciate all of you. The bottom of my heart, thank you for being here with me. I love reading. It's so fun. It's just one of my favorite things. I just get lost. I forget who I am, and I just read the pages in front of me, you know? So it's very relaxing, very fun, and I'm glad that I get to share it with you guys too. So, means the world. Thank you. I know, it was kind of a shorter chapter, right? It was a little bit of a shorter one, but I'll be back next week to do chapter 3. I think it's a good time to leave us off now. I had 10 and 11 people. Wow, how cool. So awesome. Thank you guys so very, very much. This is very special to me. I loved that chapter. I really think she just has a way with words, and the way that she can paint a picture and help you understand some really complicated concepts and complex concepts that some people kind of have a hard time articulating. And the way that she does, it's so easy for me to comprehend personally. And being able to read it as if, you know, it came from me. It feels good. And I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoy reading it. I'll see you guys maybe in a couple days. I might do another jewelry video. Maybe. I kind of want to. I want to make more jewelry. I just got to figure out how to get my camera to move and show it well, because I really want to start doing like tutorials and stuff on how to make certain jewelry. So yeah, that might be next. I might do another music live in the next couple days, maybe. We'll see. I also want to get into cooking. Some point I want to start doing yoga and like workout type of stuff on here too. I want to do so many things. It's ridiculous. And there's nothing telling me that I can't. So lovely. Cool. All right, guys. Love you. Thank you so very, 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 very much. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for being in here with me. I will see you next Sunday while we read chapter 3. Bye. Love you.